Hi everyone, Kevin here. What I'd like to do in this video is show you this. This is a Panasonic G6. Now you probably saw my unboxing video a few days ago, but I haven't touched it since, which is why the strap is still sitting there. I'm actually recording using the G6 just now, so that's why the audio sounds a little bit tinny. You know what? The microphones and cameras are never very good, so I apologise for that, but I did want to test the audio from the microphones to give you and give myself an idea of what it's capable of without connecting an external microphone. But in the future I will be connecting the Zoom H6 either via one of the capsules like this shotgun mic or using, I don't know, something else like a Rode microphone. But what I'd like to do is just talk about why I purchased the G6. One of the things that kind of influenced my decision through this whole month or so of looking at cameras was 4K. Now I'm sure you're all aware of 4K video. This was something that kind of influenced the cameras I was looking at. The way I look at it just now is we're kind of on the cusp of 4K becoming the standard. You know, like 3 years ago 720p was the standard, just now 1080p is the standard. And I think we're getting to the point that 4K will be the standard in cameras probably within the next 6 to 12 months. We're not there yet. The problem just now is that there's not many 4K cameras on the market. Now if you look at the higher end of the market for cameras anyway, not camcorders, but for cameras, you've got things like the Panasonic G4 and the Samsung NX1. But these are very expensive cameras. The Panasonic G4, for example, is GH4 is £1,400 in the UK. Now that's a lot of money for anyone to spend, but especially me because I'm a beginner. I really don't know what I'm doing yet, and I think if I dived in at the deep end, I'm not going to get the most out of it. I'm not going to use a lot of these advanced features. So I kind of set myself a budget, like about £600, £700. And this actually limited me to only 3 cameras. The Panasonic LX100, the bridge camera, the Panasonic FZ1000 and the Samsung NX500. But what I found is all these cameras they all have limitations. For example, the 2 smaller cameras, the LX100 and the NX500, these cameras have cropping. So if this is the normal field of vision for a 1080p shot and you record in 4K, the shot goes down to like this. Also, both of these cameras have 15-minute recording limits. Now, if you're in Europe, we all have 30-minute recording limits on our cameras because the EU decided that anything over 30 minutes is classified as a camcorder and they have to pay more tax. So all companies limit the recording to 30 minutes. But I feel that 15 minutes of recording 4K would be very restrictive in the future. You know, if I'm going to go 4K, there's going to be times where I speak for 15 or 20 or whatever minutes. So I thought that'd be a little bit restrictive. And the NX500, Samsung are actually planning ahead. They've introduced the new codec for video, the H265 I think it's called. But the problem is that no software uses it, so like software like Adobe Premiere Pro can't actually accept these video files just now. So you need to use another application to extract the files and change them back to 264 and then you can upload them. And for 1 or 2 clips that's okay, but if you're doing a big video and you've got like 10 clips you need to piece together, that's just going to be a real pain in the butt. The FZ1000 was probably the closest camera as far as to the specifications and the features that what I needed, but I don't know. I mean, I read some reviews. Some people still weren't happy with the footage. For example, if you're zooming in, the lens makes noise and things like that. So the announcement of the G7 on Monday kind of made me rethink what I was doing. Now, the G7 is the successor to the G6, which I'm recording with just now. The G7 has everything I need. It's got the rotating screen, it's got the external microphone port, and it records in 4K. It's not out till June. But when it gets released, it's going to be £700. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, that's a lot of money. Like, the Panasonic G6 dropped to only £300. And this wasn't even on my radar until it dropped in price. It dropped from about £400. Now, when I started thinking about it, I thought, I could actually buy this just now, and then a month or two, buy the Samsung NX500. And that's me get a 4K camera and a good 1080p camera, and I've paid the exact same amount as I would have for the G7. Perhaps not the way to look at it, but it did get me rethinking my whole kind of approach to what camera to buy. The other thing was, I started thinking about how prepared I am for 4K, and I'm not. Like, this iMac is from 2009, and it handles HD video fine, you know, it's got no problems there, but it's not a 4K screen. And if I had to encode 4K videos, like all my videos are going to take 4 times as long to encode. Now the argument that I was making to others and to myself was that if I buy a 4K video just now, I'm future-proofing myself. But I don't think that's actually the case, because I think a lot of the 4K cameras just now, they're all limited in one way. For example, the new Nikon one that's coming out, it's 4K video, but it only records at 15 frames per second, which is silly. I mean, I'm recording at 50 frames per second just now. So they all seem a little bit limited, and they're just not right there just now. I reckon in 6 months, most cameras, or most kind of mid to high end cameras, are going to have 4K, and it's only going to be the really budget ones that only have HD. And I kind of made the decision, it makes more sense financially to just buy the G6 just now, because it's only £300, and then down the line I can either sell this G6 in 6 months and then buy a 4K camera, and at that point there'll be a lot more 4K cameras on the market. So that's kind of the reason why I decided to go with the G6, or to go with a 1080p camera. Now the reason I went with the G6 instead of like something like the Sony RX10 was, well, mainly because of the price, but basically the G6 is everything I need. You know, I really like the Sony RX10, that's really highly regarded for video, but it doesn't have a rotating screen, which is something that I thought would be useful. But the G6 has a rotating screen, it has the external microphone port, it doesn't have USB charging, which is something that I wanted, but I'm going to buy a second battery. It had everything that I needed. The thing is, this camera, you can't find another camera like this that offers this kind of video quality. If you go back and look at the reviews from a year or two ago, the G6 was compared to the GH2 and the GH3, which are very expensive high-end Panasonic cameras. So everyone was always saying the G6 is either great for your primary camera or for your secondary camera if you're doing filmmaking. And there really isn't any other camera in the market just now that can do what the G6 does at that price range. You really have to go to cameras like £400, £500 before you're anywhere close. So I decided to go for the G6. I mean, those were all the factors that influenced my decision to get the G6, and I think it's going to end up being the right decision, because it's a great camera for me to learn how to do photography and filmmaking and things like that, and then down the line I can still sell the camera and move on to something else, and by that point I should know what I'm looking for in a camera, whether it be lens or features or whatever. So I'm pretty pleased with the purchase so far. I mean, I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty pleased with the quality of the camera, and I still need to get used to everything. Like the first thing I noticed was the Sony action camera that I used before. This obviously has a fixed lens, you know, you can't zoom. So right away I noticed that this camera, because even at 40mm it zooms in much closer than I'm used to, so I might try and buy a lower lens to adjust for that. But because it's a mirrorless system, I do have the flexibility of taking the lens off and putting another one on. So what I'm going to do in the next videos is, I've got a bag and screen protectors and things like that coming on Monday, so what I'm going to do is take the camera out, maybe to a park or something on Monday and Tuesday, just do some videos and let you see what the camera is capable of as far as video recording. And as far as the review goes, I think I'll wait a week or two, because I really want to get used to what the camera can do, what it can't do, to give myself a better picture of what the camera is actually like. Because I think if I did a review right now, I wouldn't be able to review anything really. I'd just be fumbling my way through the menu system and then giving pretty much just quoting what features it has without actually talking about real life experiences of using those features. So I'm going to do that. But the videos over the next few days as well, I'll be unboxing first the H6 handy recorder. I've got the accessory pack, the shotgun capsules. I'll be unboxing those, I'll be doing some audio tests with those. So this is kind of my new setup, you know, with the Panasonic G6 and the Zoom recorder. I might buy some more equipment later on, but for the moment this is what I'm hopefully going to be using, and I'm going to do some tests for video and audio and try and give you an idea of what these devices are capable of. So yeah, I hope this video has been useful for those of you who are looking for a camera. Essentially it was really down to the 4K issue. I reckon if I decided that 4K wasn't the way to go about a month or so ago, I would have just bought a camera. But I'm glad I've waited because I ended up buying what I considered to be a bargain. So if you're on the lookout for a camera just now, I would recommend checking out the G6. It's very, very cheap compared to other cameras out there just now because of the release of the G7. If you get any questions about the camera, again, I'm still learning everything about the camera. I don't really know what it does yet, but please do leave a comment below and I'll do my very best to answer them. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, please do click like or subscribe. Speak to you soon, guys. Thanks.